But at that time I was really frustrated. That time was just, I guess it was the beginning. We didn't really know how to talk to her, I guess. So I'm gonna sit here. She was kind of like fighting against me, yeah. And I was like, oh, gosh, I don't know what to do after that. We just left. And then we had to think of new ways to talk to her. And so we come up with this method of, okay, we're gonna talk to her like kids, like children. We're just gonna lie to her. Most of the time, but at least for me.
I wouldn't call it lying. I'll call it encouragement. Encouraging her in the right direction.
When I took improv, we learned how to accept what the other person said and then add to it. And those 5 nights of doing it, plus I think playing with my friends' children and playing with other children, it's the same as when you play with little children and you go into their little world and play along with it. It's the very same thing.
So I would say like things like, oh, you know, 沖涼啊，你沖涼你會好靚啊，你好多男人會打電話俾你啊，會帶你出街，會鍾意同你跳舞啊。So English to translation is basically, oh, if you shower, all these men will line up and give you a phone call and take you out and wine and dine you and dance with you and things like that. She would, you know, at first maybe she wouldn't quite listen because she would be a little agitated, but eventually she would kind of carry on. Then she'll start to giggle and say, oh, you're crazy. And she would just start being bashful and thinking about all these guys calling her and stuff. So that would be a great way to just distract her. One example of getting her to do something that needs to be done, but in a fun way, and kind of distracting her from the caretaker that she didn't really like, from showering her. And yeah, that's just basically one technique, one type of strategy we would use.
You just have to always encourage her. You have to say things like, oh, you're doing a great job, excellent, wonderful, you know, just things that you would say to a child, actually. You know, you wouldn't say all these negative things to a child.
Yeah, instead of using words like no or you know, you're doing, you know, it's wrong or things like that, you have to say, oh, let's do it this way, or oh, you're doing really good, but let's do it this way instead, or oh, let's go over here. A lot of times she's like, oh, I want to go cook for my mom who's passed away. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, okay, let's go out. And then she's like, oh, you know, and then like, oh, let's see what's going on over here. And then she's like totally distracted. She totally forgot what she wanted to do. So she, you know, it's kind of redirecting what she wants to do, but in the other direction where she should be going. Yes. She would remember something from her past randomly. She's like, oh, I need to return something. I'm like, oh yeah, we did that yesterday. Don't you remember? We returned it already. So it's, instead of correcting her and saying, no, that's not true, yeah, you don't need to return it, it's like, oh, we did it already. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she lets it go.
We introduced new caretakers as your aunt. And since we have changed a few caretakers, you know, every time when there's a new one coming in, we would say, oh, this is, you know, our relative.
The caretaker has to also be willing to play along.
Play along, right.
And kind of keep that facade. We would bring the caretaker along to some family outings and bring her to dinner. And one of the mistakes we did make, though, is that we didn't keep it up. So then she started to forget, and she's like, oh, she's not your aunt.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have to keep it up. So it's kind
of, you have to kind of keep that act up and continue to remind her that she's the aunt, and continue to kind of periodically bring her out to family stuff. Because trust me, rationalization, trying to teach her, trying to get her to cooperate, trying to guilt her, trying to make her have sympathy for us will not work.
I learned very early on that you can't reason with somebody who has Alzheimer's, and it was difficult to learn all the ramifications of that very simple sentence, but it is very true.